All right, hello everyone. I'm Jason,
I'm Chris.
and this is
Data in the Ville.
Fabulous.
Think about that, man.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know why I'm here.
This is our first episode ever of Data in the Ville, and our special guest for today is none other than our special guest for the day.
My name's
is
John.
is none other than Mr. John Morehouse from Denny Terry and Associates.
Denny Terry and Associates.
Also from Louisville.
Also from Louisville. Not born and bred, but
Speaking of which, I learned something recently. I'm a recent transplant here, and I wanted to know why some people call it Louisville, some people call it Louisville, don't look at me, and some people just call it the Ville. So I went around and I did some Googling and talked to some folks, and what I found out is at one point there was a debate between Louisville and Louisville, and people who live here call it Louisville, people who came here call it Louisville. And the people who came here and say it wrong got tired of being picked on by the people who live here. And so they're the ones who just started calling it the Ville.
I will say that when John came here, he said it correctly. Right out
well,
the gate.
that's not entirely true. Because I'm a transplant from Omaha. I lived in a small town called Plattsmouth, and Plattsmouth had a sister city that was about 10 miles away, give or take. And it was Louisville. And so I spent 20 some odd years calling it Louisville. It's spelled the exact same, right? But I moved here, and my coworkers at my previous employer would pick on me because I could never say it right, and it took me like 6 months to figure out how to say it right.
Well, way to go. I think I say it right, but I like saying the Ville too, because that's like a way to guarantee you don't say it wrong.
I just say Louisville.
Oh, that's it. Not a transplant.
Right. I
born
will
and
say,
raised.
as a transplant, like I can tell that I say it differently now than I did when I first arrived.
Yeah.
Six odd years ago.
Yeah.
So
It's less syllables.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. There's a few things we want to talk about today with you, John. Thank you for coming.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
We are going to start by just talking about you. Chris and I know you fairly well, and we know that your Twitter handle is DBA with a bat.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Well, that's how we know, right? And a lot of people call you DBA with a bat. Why do they call you DBA with a bat?
So they call me DBA with a bat because many years ago I was a database developer for a financial institution in Omaha.
And those always have bats.
Yeah, well, so I was at that point I was a database developer on a long-term contract consultant. It was a 2-year stint, right? It was supposed to be like a 3-month thing, and it, we all know how scope creep gets in there. But at the end of the project, we actually at the end of the 2 years, it was successful, right? We released the product, and business was happy and whatnot. The business owner, who actually sat with us. They actually had the business owners sit with the Agile group, and was really cool. She actually got us Louisville Slugger bats, like the actual
like a full on bat.
No, it wasn't a full on. It's like
mini bat.
It's like 18 inch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not what you get when you do the tour. But because at the end of the bat, it's like an inch thick. Like it's
do the tour where?
At the Louisville Slugger Museum.
Oh.
So if you go you can go get the souvenir bats. The souvenir bats, like at the airports here and at the museum, are like this big around, right? But these bats were, they could have done some serious damage. But they were engraved. They had my name on it, had the company's name, all this stuff.
That's nice.
Fast forward a year, we finished the project. We exited. Fast forward a year, they actually hired me full time. I brought the bat with me.
Of course.
The bat was small enough for me. It was my fidget spinner. I would spin it. I would take the bat and actually spin it and walk around the office. So I would go to meetings, and I came back first as a database developer. Then I also moved into a database architect role, which means I had to go talk to database developers and whatnot. And I would, if you came by my desk, usually I had the bat and I was doing stuff with it. The developers started to figure out that I'm not small.
No, none of us are.
Yeah, I would carry around this bat, and so they're like, I think I want to listen to him. And so that's how I got known as DBA the Bat. Actually, when
we
I,
should take a tip.
I like the speaker picture that you're holding the bat like this.
that picture has actually got me into trouble.
Can I hold?
Unfortunately.
Can I hold a bat while I'm doing desk steward meeting?
No.
when I left that organization to come to Louisville,
Yeah.
they actually gave me a bat. One of my enterprise architects, fabulous guy, his name's Kent Webb. He had a piece of lumber of some sort, and it actually looks like a big cricket bat.
Oh, wow.
But it was signed, like he went around and had all my coworkers and friends sign it
That's
and
cool.
whatnot. I got stickers and stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's actually hanging in my office in my house. And then just recently, DCAC actually gave me a full-size Louisville Slugger
Oh,
bat.
man.
And it's got the DCAC logo,
Yeah.
embossed. What?
Engraved and embossed.
Engraved.
Yeah.
And so I now have 3 bats
That's
in
cool.
my office. Here in
Well,
Louisville.
yeah. Well, now you're DBA with mini bats.
Yeah, some DV with mini bats.
Well, and for those that don't know, it's literally like 2 blocks away from
Yeah,
us right
Louisville.
One of the first things Chris told me was that he liked to take a walk once in a while during the day up to the top of the parking deck.
now. Yeah.
And I did that one time.
Yep.
And there's only one really cool thing you can see from up there. And you know what it is.
It's the bat.
Yeah. The giant like
Usually-
40-foot tall bat.
So before COVID, before the pandemic, Chris would actually take a walk. And usually, if he walked by the museum, I usually got a text message with a picture of the bat.
Yeah.
Hey, you left something.
Yeah, you left some.
Yeah, here's your real bat.
Yep.
All right. So one thing I wanted to give you a chance to do, I think you're pretty proud of where you work too.
I absolutely love where I
Tell us
work.
a little bit about DCAC.
So DCAC, or Denny Cherry Associates Consulting, that's the DCAC. We're a small boutique, small shop. There's only how many technical? I think we've got like 7 technical folks, but
Wow.
like 9 total. We actually grew somewhat in the pandemic. We hired a gentleman by the name of
Nice.
Ville Fellows, who's
Yeah,
a great
I know
guy.
Bill.
I've known Bill for many years, out of Kansas City. We actually hired him during the pandemic. But we do a wide range of all sorts of SQL Server related, data related things. We primarily focus on SQL Server, but I know right now my coworker, Joey D'Antoni, has a project that he's doing MySQL. And so we normally will focus on SQL Server, but we have a wide breadth of skills and expertise and most things data. We've got Megan Longoria, who's
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
And Monica.
And Monica, but Megan is more on the Power BI,
Yeah.
data reporting, data analytics, data visualization,
Mm-hmm.
and she's fabulous with it. And Bill is more on that side as well. And then we've got Monica, who's an expert in performance tuning. And then we've got Carrie and myself and Joey and Denny, who all kind of do the more architecture side of things. Because I'm that crazy guy that wants to get into the internals. And
We got a lot of mixtures of VMware experts,
Yep.
data platform VPs, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I talked to Danny, but I remember back when I did, it was always something to do with some very, very large and expensive storage system.
Yeah. To Chris's point, I think we've got 5 MVPs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Myself included. I think we have 4
Yep.
V experts, myself included. And so we've got I think we're a Microsoft Gold partner. So we've got a number of certifications to Microsoft and all that.
You do a lot of speaking too, like all the
We
all the people
do.
at DCAC do a lot of speaking.
And that's, I absolutely love where I work because that was one of the things that was important to me, was actually speaking and being a part of the community. We all have been involved in the SQL community, SQL family, if you will. I think it's a very unique culture,
It is.
very unique group. Very few technical silos have that type of family, if you will. And so working for somebody who understood my desire to give back to the community and travel and speak and blog and help out and do whatever was important to me. And Denny's right up in that eye.
Mhm.
I mean, he has no qualms about that whatsoever.
We certainly all appreciate it.
And what's one of the things working for Denny, I get to be able to be somewhat flexible in my schedule. And okay, I've got some downtime this week. I can blog. I can do whatever. We actually call Denny the anti-boss because he doesn't micromanage. He doesn't. He's there to help get roadblocks out of the way if we need them. But for the most part, we're self-autonomous.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about those things if you know how to hire the right people.
Well, and there is some imposter syndrome. I actually put together a new session of it's a swear word, but crap I learned from working with Denny Cherry, and some of that is like the imposter syndrome. And it's been interesting. I've been there for over 4 years now.
Man, that's flown by.
It's blinked. I blinked, and 4 years later, and there is some. Holy crap! Denny Cherry just hired me. Like that's. It took a long time for that to kind of settle in.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting ride, not only technical wise, because Denny is, Denny, Joey, Carrie, they're all, the entire team is just outstandingly smart.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
are
yeah.
just smart
They
people.
really are.
And some of this, I'm the dumbest.
You're one of them.
I'm the dumbest person in the room. No, usually I feel like I'm the dumbest person in the room, right? All the time, because it's.
I feel the same way, man. And I don't want to get us stuck on the whole topic of
Oh, yeah,
imposter
yeah.
syndrome, but I do think that a lot of people, a lot of good people like yourself, sometimes equate just plain old humility to imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I
It's
see that.
fixing that as I go through this journey with Denny has been
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's something I've been actively working on, and that's why I actually put together a session for it, because I thought that I'll give that
Yeah.
back. And
Well, I think, and I'm sure Chris would agree, that you're super dope.
well, thank you. I
Yep.
appreciate that.
100%.
And to all you millennials out there that think I can't say that, I'll say it again. John is super dope. What are some of the things, both of you guys,
Yeah.
that you think is pretty great about living in the Ville?
Oh, wow.
You were born and raised here, right?
Born and raised, yeah. A lot of things. I've seen a lot of things come and a lot of things go. I think the community itself, it's pretty strong. It's always been strong. I think it's family friendly. There's a lot of things to do.
It is very family.
A lot of things.
Make
to
sure you
do.
buy your tickets early.
Yeah,
That's
buy
true.
your tickets early.
Because everybody goes.
Big sports world here.
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby. Big,
Yeah.
big horse
Louisville
racing.
loves basketball. For a place that doesn't have a basketball team,
Yeah.
sure love basketball.
Yeah. Bourbon Trail's not too far from
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah, lots of hiking.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. A lot of hiking areas.
Horses.
Some
Horses.
things I've discovered. I like going places. I like driving
Yeah.
here because if you're in this city, no matter where you live, you're about 15 minutes from everywhere.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
I actually joke with my coworker Monica, because she lives in Norfolk, Virginia, or Hampton Roads, Virginia, and when she goes places, she's like, it's 45 minutes. It's
Oh yeah.
she's like, well, how long is it going to take you to get from across town? Like, I live in East End,
Yeah.
and it takes me about 15. No matter where I go, no more than I can get to here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can probably take it for granted if you've lived here your whole life.
You
But
can.
coming from like Charlotte,
Yeah.
where it's give or take hour and a half or 40 minutes to get into the city, this is unreal.
Well, you're not far from a lot of places either, too, right? Like Nashville, Chicago.
Well, and so that's actually coming from Omaha.
Yeah.
Right. Nebraska's a really big state.
Yeah.
And I actually tell people this, that if I drive 8 hours west of Omaha, if I start in Plattsmouth and go west 8 hours, I'm still in Nebraska.
Yep.
Give or take. I'm relatively close to the Colorado border, but I'm
Yeah.
still in Nebraska, and it
Yeah.
is flat as that table. Here, 8 hours, I'm almost to Monica's house. I'm almost to Destin, Florida. I can almost to DC. I can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
certainly within 8 hours, I can get to Indy and
Yeah.
Cincinnati and Chicago and Detroit.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's very centrally located.
It's very well located.
Yeah,
Yeah.
St. Louis, Nashville.
Yeah.
All sorts of
And the
stuff.
horses are cool. I haven't been here for a Derby week. Y'all have me a little scared,
Oh,
but a little
man.
excited too.
I've been here 6 years and I've yet to be do a derby. I will tell you that it's a ghost town. Like,
Except for the people who came for that. Right?
Yeah, right. But what you will see, if you travel around that time frame and you go to the airport, you will see the number of private aircraft
Lined up.
start to stack up.
Oh,
around
really?
the
That's
entire-
Oh, yeah.
What about over there at Bowman Field?
I'm
Were
sure.
they
I have
coming
not
there,
looked.
too?
I
I'm sure
assume
there's
that
some
you'll.
smaller
Yeah.
ones over there, yeah.
Y'all know, like I live right across from that.
Yeah.
And it's noisy because airplanes.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining,
Yeah.
but it's noisy. Well, maybe we should go ahead and get into our nerd topics
Uh-oh.
or deep topics.
I like nerd topics.
So, ransomware is on my mind lately, primarily because the people I write for have been asking me to write about ransomware a lot lately.
Well, it's been in the news.
Yeah.
Chronos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Chronos got nailed. People aren't going to get paid for Christmas. That's tough, and I bet they're not happy.
Yep.
And I think I don't. Do we know yet what the attack vector was?
I haven't seen.
I haven't seen it yet.
But now I'm going to try and see when we're done. But, some stats that I've had to look at scared me when I first started digging into this. Over 4,000
Yep.
ransomware attacks a day
Yep.
happen, and most of them we never hear about.
Yep.
So this is kind of a scary thing for a lot of people. What I want to know from you, John, and you, Chris, how scary is this for DBA's data engineers?
Ooh.
I think it's really scary.
Yep.
I think that a lot of DBAs probably think that they are isolated or immune for some reason. What pick a reason, it doesn't matter. I think that DBAs that don't practice their restore or the recovery strategies,
Yep.
they're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
And it's probably not a question of if, but when. Especially if you work in a more well-known silo, like if you're financial healthcare,
Yeah.
something that is attractive to hackers, those attackers. It's a matter of time.
I think some people are proactive too, right? Like I think some people depend on other groups for that security, like an infrastructure team or an infosec team. For DBAs,
Or an
they still,
engineering team, DevOps team.
right? And DBAs still have a hand in that, right? And you can't just rely on one sole entity. I think it's a cumulative effort.
I got years ago. I worked for the same institution. I was a database architect. I got I want to say beat, but that's really it got drilled into me because my bonus was actually partly tied to security.
Mm.
And so, and I actually reported, as a database architect, I actually reported to the chief security officer.
Yeah.
And so we actually had to, and they would do pen tests and penetration tests and stuff. And if we weren't successful in making sure that people wore badges, if we saw anything and didn't report it, it dinged us on our bonus,
Yeah.
right? And so for a long time, I'm a huge proponent of data security in general is everybody's business.
Yeah.
Whether it's the janitor all the way to the vice president and anywhere in between.
I'll tell you guys this, and it's preaching to the choir. In the research that I've done, you get your application locked down, fine. You've got source code, or it's in the cloud. You can redeploy it. You get your data locked down, unless, like you said, you have a way to recover.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, or you pay the ransom.
Yeah, and hope they unlock it.
And a lot of organizations will just pay the ransom and hope that they get the keys to get it back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Where would you start if your biggest client at CAC were attacked with ransomware and came to you for help?
So it's actually happened. We have actually had clients that have gotten ransomware. Usually that's before their clients. If something happens, they get ransomware and they call us and go, "Hey, what can we do about it?" And my first question would be, "Where are your backups?" Speaking specifically for a SQL Server, right? The other thing is, I would ask, I didn't know this until I actually started working with Denny, but even if you're using O365, that's not backed up.
Yeah.
You have to manually do that type of backup through third party or some process. Shameless plug, we actually resell a product that does O365 backups.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that. I thought, well, it's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Microsoft handles all that. Not entirely the case. So that's my first question: is where are your backups? If your backups are located on the network that got ransomware, you're pretty much toast because those ransomwares are designed to go sniff out where your backups are. We're going to encrypt those too. So where are your backups?
Okay. So it's more like they call you, but you're also teaching them as you're going through it, letting them know what to do in the future.
Usually we will try to.
Yeah.
Usually we will try to get them going in the right direction to think about. And to me, this is where the cloud comes in.
Yep.
Right? Because the cloud helps facilitate that with a relatively minimal cost.
Yeah.
That's my next question. Is a cloud environment a benefit or a detriment when answering a ransomware?
I personally think it's a benefit. There is an additional cost when you use the cloud, and it's cloud agnostic, right? To me, it's about getting the backups, which are to me the most critical piece, and whether that's a backup of a web server, a backup of a database, backups or backups, get them out of your primary data center, get them out of your DR, get them out of anything that's network connected, get them out offsite somewhere. The cloud makes that significantly easier, right? We're all old enough. I mean, you all remember the days when the cloud didn't really exist.
Yeah.
You're younger than I am, so you might not. But
Back then we called it co-located.
Co-located, okay, but you did.
Wait a minute, what's that?
Just hosted.
Yeah.
Okay, but
He got me.
But how many back in the day though? How long did it take you to stand up a colo somewhere off-site?
Oh, you wow.
You had to rent rack space.
Yeah.
You had to facilitate equipment in said rack space. You had to rent the copper from Quest or some telecommunications provider to get access to actually feed data into that colo. It was
and nobody was managing your thing.
No.
It was just there.
And, and if you went really far, your IT staff had to go there, right? You know, if we were in Omaha and we went to Des Moines for our colo, somebody had to physically drive there, slap in the rack servers, get all the networking gear squared away and whatnot. It was a 6 month. Remember that?
Crazy.
Been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
It's a 6 month ordeal.
It's
right?
crazy.
Now, you know, Chris brings me in as a consultant. I can get his entire infrastructure backed up to Azure relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Was that a promise?
No. No, but I'm happy to provide a statement of work if you guys want to sign it. And I think the cloud really facilitates that. It's just like we can use the cloud we had a couple years ago, we had a hurricane come through the eastern seaboard. You know, and we had horror stories of data centers, even Azure, were in line of this hurricane, and there were issues, right? We can actually use the cloud to, let's do an availability group or a geo-replicate an Azure SQL database or a failover group, and get your data out of that region to some other region, right? I think the cloud is a huge proponent of protecting, you know, because I can, even if I can use SQL Server natively, you know, as long as you're 2012 or higher, if I remember that right. We can back up directly to Azure storage. And that's done via credential. The credential is encrypted in SQL Server. Ransomware can't read the credential to get the key to go read your storage account. So I could, I could fix instead of backing up locally, back up everything to the cloud. You get ransomware, guess what? It's in the storage account that most likely it can't get access to.
Yeah.
And if you need to redeploy your app, it's all infrastructure as code.
Yep.
You just hit the button.
If we want additional security, all right, we take your storage account in Azure and we geo-replicate it in some fashion somewhere else. So you've got a secondary copy. You know, you do it. I would do that through some type of automation. I think. You know, pick up the blob, back up, and toss it somewhere else, and do it once a month. Do it some frequency to.
Yeah, that is a really good point, right? If you set all that up, make sure you can do it.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Yeah.
And that's back to your disaster recovery strategy, right? If you don't practice that, I have enough clients that do I practice it at home? Yeah, I usually blow up my local SQL instance and I have to go fix it. You know, but I've done enough disaster recoveries that I know how to do it.
Yeah.
If your DBAs aren't doing your disaster recovery, you have a problem. If you don't do tests, you have a problem.
Well, let's move on to the next question. I think that was a pretty good discussion. This is the last one in this series about ransomware today.
Yep.
Do you have any tips for people on avoiding ransomware attacks in the first place?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
And let's not say don't be stupid. But don't be stupid.
No, I think my biggest tip would be one, I'm a proponent of getting a third party to come look.
Yep.
Right? I think that there is
like a pen test type.
Well, a pen test or I'm going to use us as an example, right? Because I've been around the block enough times with my clients to know what vulnerabilities get overlooked because you work here in your day to day, you've got blinders on.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yeah.
that's just a natural thing, right? So there's no maliciousness or
Yeah, of course
ill
not.
intent there, but
Yeah.
you just have blinders on. If you bring in an outside party, you
Yeah.
hire me to come in because I don't have those blinders. I can identify, okay, you've got holes in your security here.
Yeah.
Here's how we fix it, right? We put together a game plan. Here's how we fix it. I think that's worth the investment, even if a $10,000 investment. Let's say, let's just randomly pick a number of statement of work. I come on site or I get access, and we evaluate your security access from a SQL Server perspective, from a data perspective. Say, hey, here's how you shore up your security from your SQL Server environment. You've got firewall rules open
Yeah.
or what have you. You have a public IP that's on the internet that's not behind a network security group in Azure. We probably need to fix that. We need to encrypt your backup, whatever. I think that's worthwhile.
So it's not good to just open up like every possible.
Probably not. We
IP
actually,
address range to your.
I think Joey and Denny actually tested that. They actually stood up a SQL Server on an Azure virtual machine and left it open with a relatively weak
Just to see
SA
how long it would
password.
take.
And I think Joey said his got accessed. It got acquired in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, because at least from the Azure's perspective, the attackers will port scan, right?
Yeah.
So they are just randomly pinging IP addresses.
Yeah. And they'll eventually find one.
They'll eventually find one, right?
Yeah.
So like networks, especially with Azure, network security is really important because if you screwed up, you potentially have just opened it up worldwide.
So
What if there's a way to leave one out there and just have it like attack the attacker back? It's like a trap.
That'd be cool. What's the most off the wall thing you've seen without going into too much detail, like about who or what that you've seen when it comes to that type of stuff?
In terms of the attackers,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything specifically. I know that we had a client. I can tell you about a trick that Denny enlightened me on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned technically from Denny. We had a client that Joey and I were working on, and we potentially thought that an attack was actually in progress.
Yeah.
Turns out we don't think it was.
Yeah.
But like we're concerned, right?
Yeah.
We're concerned for our customers' data,
Sure.
and so we're trying to figure out how can we. They weren't necessarily in Azure full time, but we were trying to figure out how to get their on-premises
Yeah.
data out
Yeah.
and safe,
Yeah.
right? Because they had actually been subject to a ransomware attack
Yeah.
previously, and so Joey and I are like actively trying to get this thing done. And nothing, the solutions we came up with wouldn't necessarily work. For one, like every time we turned a corner, there was some
Yeah.
roadblock that prevented us. And Denny comes around in true Denny fashion. He's like, well, they had an Azure presence that was connected. Why don't we stand up a VM? But don't join it to the domain. Don't join it to the network. So I didn't know this, but you can actually write backups. So if you stand up a virtual machine that's not even network connected, but you set up a local account that matches the credentials of let's say your production
Yeah.
SQL box with the same name, same password, SQL can write to it.
Oh yeah. We used to call that
So-
pass-through authentication.
So I never really thought of that.
I never thought of using it that way.
Well, so,
right.
So
Yeah.
Denny comes around and he spins up this massive, because we needed terabytes and terabytes of disk, right? Another benefit of the cloud. You want 16 terabytes of storage? That's pretty easy to spin up the disk, attach it, away we go. And that's exactly what he did. Is he spun up this VM with however many terabytes we needed, configured the credentials, took production, pointed it to it. So it's not network joined. So ransomware can't see it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's isolated. It's encapsulated right out of the network. But we could still write. We weren't passing any credentials, right? And so there's no passwords
That's cool.
anywhere. Like in clear text.
It was just like a kind of Windows on Windows handshake.
He made so he attached all this terabytes of disk and created a folder to share, right? So basically we used it as a file server.
Yeah.
We wrote to it, got all the backups off, right? We at least had a fresh backup just in case it was ransomware. Turns out it wasn't, like I said. But I was like, holy crap.
Is it?
That's a fantastic
Is some hacker gonna be able to get around that now? Somehow?
School trip.
We don't want to give.
I don't, without having some sort of access via the network,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way around
Also, there's only going to be about 20 people that see our podcast.
it. Maybe, who knows?
It's fun to do regardless. All right. I think that was a pretty good segment on ransomware. We learned a lot.
Yeah.
We got a few more things to go through. I wanted to do a community segment. Community segment.
I didn't know there was
That's getting cut out. Yeah, that's definitely getting cut out. Let's talk about the data community in the Ville, right? I think it's fairly active. It was definitely pre-COVID. Like even as far away as Charlotte, I knew what was going on up here. Everybody's done pretty good about keeping things going during COVID, but that's hard everywhere. But I think there's actually a lot of personalities that people might know in this area, and that people might not know that they are in this area. So who's around here that you guys know?
Better question is who's not around here
Yeah, no kidding.
these days? Well, you yourself. You are.
Yeah, I'm here. Like some people know me, not too many, but I just got here.
More people know you than you think.
Is that infamous or?
I don't know. Is that infamous? Well, I mean, because through your stint with Century One, and
Yeah.
I mean, you're involved in the community.
Yeah.
People know who you are.
Yeah, frankly, I just love this community. For like early on, you said it's special, and I want to see it continue to be special.
We have a number of. I mean, we have you and Chris Yates is here. I'm here. Jess Schultz is here.
Tim
Tim Chapman is here.
You got Mike Wood, not in Louisville, but not far. You got some folks in Lexington.
Matt Gordon's up in Lexington.
Matt Gordon.
You got Josh.
Yep, Josh Higginbotham is here.
Yep.
There's a Dynamics MVP that is from here, but she might be in Minnesota. Her name's Kelly Kane.
Yep.
She's here. And we're not too far. Indianapolis has Hope Foley.
Oh yeah,
Cincinnati's close
hour
by.
and a half away.
Yeah.
So there's a number of SQL-related people here.
Yeah.
I think the nucleus of the people here outside of like just data itself here in Louisville. So being able to do the co-lead with John for the user group here, SQL Saturday events that have been here, seeing the involvement just from everybody around Louisville has been pretty cool to see. So meet a lot of people, a lot of faces.
What outside of Republic Bank?
Yeah.
And UCAC. What do you guys think would be the most attractive place in Louisville to work for?
Oh man.
Oh Lord.
I'm gonna say mine first. And again, outside of where I already work. I'm gonna go with Yum Brands, cause Taco Bell.
KFC.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
I haven't thought about that either.
I really,
There's a lot, aren't there? It's when you think about it,
Yeah.
there's a lot of places to work in.
there's quite a few places.
And again, one of them has Taco Bell.
But I will say that
Taco Bell.
that tech community though, you
Yeah.
kind of see the same people. So
Well, yeah,
it might be
they
at the Yum
rotate a
Brands,
little bit,
They
yeah.
might be at the Humanas. They might be at the
Mhm.
Waystars. They might be at these different places, but they all kind of
Yeah.
intermingle.
What's Waystar? I didn't even know that was here.
Down the street.
It's just a thing that says Waystar.
Yeah, it's deal with medical type.
I don't know what they do.
There's a lot of
things,
medical
type stuff. Yeah.
And actually, one of our volunteers, I think, works there.
Yeah.
Like Deanna works there.
Uh,
Or she used
Yeah.
to. She's
Yeah.
UPS is a really big hub here.
UPS is another
UPS is a
one.
big hub.
You drive by the airport, there's 40 UPS jets.
Humana's
At
big
least.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, right down the street.
Yeah.
Humana.
Humana. So.
All right, big community here in Louisville. You like to do data? Come join us. How's COVID impacted networking and training events here in Louisville?
Oh.
I think that's similar to everywhere else.
Yeah, they don't have it, or they have it on.
Well, and I'm gonna get somewhat political here, but as
You're fine.
a leader of our assistant, Josh is the official leader of the user group right now. I've been helping him when I can or when he needs help. I think as a member of the data community, we have to err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Right? Because regardless of what you believe about COVID and the pandemic and risks and stuff. I personally can't attend a meeting or be a part of organizing an event where you die because of our gathering. While I understand it's your personal risk and you make the decision, so we have been virtual for quite some time.
For the record, I would also prefer not to die.
For the record, I too would prefer you don't die. And so I'm a proponent of staying virtual for right now until we can, I think that we're getting closer to doing some type of, as people get vaccinated, the kids get vaccinated. My kids were younger, obviously. And that was a huge concern for me, was making sure that my kids stayed safe. But I would definitely like to see us get back to the person.
As tired as we all are of it, I would also say that at this point we've all kind of learned to live with the way things are, and we should be able to maintain it until it really is safe for everyone.
I will say that I did travel last week, and I think it's strange to a conference in Vegas.
Yep.
Being in person was weird.
Was it?
Yeah.
Over there in Las Vegas, they still have the mask mandates in all the casinos and everything?
They do. The conference we went to had a very strict mask mandate. Everybody had to actually show proof of vaccination or get tested on a daily basis. So like the protocols they had in place, I thought were very well thought out. The casino, on the other hand, did have the mandate, but half the people weren't.
Yeah.
Security would come around and say, "Hey, you got to wear your mask." The person would walk around the corner away
And
from
then take it off again.
Yeah.
Right. Which is somewhat irritating me, personally, just because
Yes.
I've had some loss this year due to COVID. Multiple people in my family, actually, and I was worried about my kids, right?
Yeah.
So, but I was there. I wore my mask and took precautions and stuff. So, you got to live, which I fully understand. But I'd love to get us back in person. But it is weird. I will say.
We'll eventually get there. There's a lot of smart people, smarter people than me out there working for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one last thing, John.
I didn't do it.
We've well, hopefully you're gonna. We've had a good time sitting here talking with you. Like Chris was just telling me earlier, he hadn't actually seen you face to face in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get together. Where can we or other folks hear you speak in the next few months?
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is the culmination. This is the fourth speaking thing I've had this week.
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, it was actually I was actually worried about my contributions to the MVP program and worrying about speaking and whatnot. And I did Merit's user group out of Atlanta on Monday.
Yeah.
I did the Kevin Fiesel and Tracy Baggiano's group on Tuesday, which is the kind of your old neck of the woods. So,
Oh yeah, they're down in Raleigh.
the Tri-Pass.
Yeah.
Tri-Pass? Triangle?
I think it's Tri-Pass.
Tri-Pass. Where I actually did a brand new presentation that I put together. I did an online webinar yesterday with David Klee.
Mr. Klee, one of my
Mr.
favorite.
Klee,
Yeah. Tracy, one of my favorites.
And then this today.
Yeah.
So coming up, I really don't know. I think I've got something in February. I got 2 things to speak at in February. Then I will be hopefully going to Sequel Bits in London next year in March.
Well, where do you publish your blogs at?
They are published at SQLRS.com. I will say that I usually write about the internals of SQL Server because I'm crazy like that.
So if you're not able to get out and see John, go to SQLRS.com and read his blog posts and ask him questions on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of free content like Red Gates
Yep.
got the past videos, past summit and stuff like that. So there are videos of me around speaking.
Both of you guys are friends with Redgate, right? I know you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Chris is friends with Redgate.
I am. I hope to be next year. We'll see.
Yeah, Redgate doesn't want to be my friend. There's obvious reasons why, but maybe next year they will. We won't go into the obvious reasons. It's not the people.
It's a good program.
It is.
Very good
It's a great
program.
program.
Yeah, very good program.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today, guys. You want to do outro, Chris? Or you think it's just too much?
Too much.
Okay. Well, I'll do the outro. I'm Jason. That's Chris.
I'm Chris.
I'm John.
That's John. This has been the very first Data in the Ville. And stay safe, stay healthy, and a lot of this will be edited out.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. That won't be edited out. All right.
Cool.
We'll see what